Boston, the winningest sports city this century. Each championship deriving from a plan. Join us as we discuss the next Boston Banner Blueprint with your hosts, Josh Finkel, Nick Walsh, and Nate Philbrook.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Boston Banner Blueprint podcast. It is episode 21, Patriots Mock Draft, episode 1.0. I am here with Nick and PT, and we are going to be rolling through a 7-round-ish. We'll see how many picks we get in. Mock draft for the New England Patriots as we get into full draft season. But before we start, always want to plug those socials so everybody knows exactly where to find us. And of course, that starts on Twitter /X at Boston Banner BP, Boston Banner Blueprint on both Facebook and Instagram, Boston.banner.BLU on TikTok. And then like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, and share with your friends on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Let's kick this thing off, boys. Let's start with a little bit of Patriots/life news as we get going and get ready for the mock.
Nope. Sorry about that. What's going on?
Weren't paying attention to the intro, Nick?
No, I guess I'm just not following Coach Vrabel's rules. I have my hood up. I'm paying attention to my phone. I'm sorry. I'll put it down.
Very clever.
What's up, everyone?
For those that started watching this episode on YouTube, which this is a great episode to watch on YouTube as we are going to be showing our mock draft, sharing our screen. So follow along with every pick. But PT, how are you doing today, man?
You know, I'm doing good. I'm excited we get to talk Pats. But on my way home, I went home to Boston this weekend from my college, Colby Sawyer. I'm going suit shopping for graduation and capstone, which is a project. But on my way back, crossing New Hampshire, I saw this state trooper. I'd never seen this before. I've never seen a state trooper out with the speed gun. That's a first for me.
Hey.
And I see him, zoning in on what I think is my car. But I pass him. I don't see him get in his car. About 2 minutes later, I see a car behind me that looks like a state trooper's one. No lights on, though. And I'm like, I know it's best I get out of this lane. So I switch lanes, and he just so happens to switch lanes with me and then throw his lights on. So I've never been pulled over before, and I won't lie, I was a little bit nervous. And I was flying allegedly. I don't know exactly what it was, but the speed limit's 65. I may or may not have been going 20
66.
over. Yeah, 66, exactly. 66, 85, what's the difference? The same thing. But comes up to me, and I'm nervous. I roll down the window, ask for the usual license, registration, hand it to him, and he asked me how fast I'm going. I may or may not have lied a little bit about how fast I thought I was going. Tells me how fast I'm going. And
what was the number he gave? Be honest.
He said I was going 85.
Okay.
I said I was going 75. I think we can meet in the middle there from what I was going, but it is what it is. But I thought I for sure was getting a ticket, and so before he went, he asked me, "What's that sticker on the back of your car?" And I have a FD Fire Department sticker on it. My dad's a firefighter, and I told him, "Yeah, my dad's a firefighter." And he's like, "He asked how long he's been doing it," and I said, "Basically since I've been born, so almost 23 years now." And he goes to his car, comes back, and says, normally you were going so fast, this would be a $500 ticket. I'm just going to give you a warning and tell your dad thanks. And I was on my way, and now I'm here with you guys about to do a draft, and I'm not down $500 on the day. So I'm having a phenomenal day. I'm not going to lie.
You know what that means, right?
What does that mean?
You gotta take your dad out for dinner this weekend because he just got you out of a $500 ticket.
I agree. He will be getting treated well this weekend. How about you guys?
PT coming in clutch.
Shout out, Dad.
There we go. PT, I didn't know that we had that in common. My dad has also been a long-time firefighter.
I didn't know that. That's
30
crazy.
plus years. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
The one time that I got pulled over in the town in which he is a firefighter for, his name did not get me out of my ticket. So thanks a lot. Yeah. I know he's going to be listening to this episode too, and I know that he remembers that. So thanks a lot, Dad. Yeah, appreciate that. But what do you guys think? What Patriot news, Nick? You mentioned the Vrabel presser. What are your thoughts there?
So I thought they were, if no one had seen it yet, there was a clip that came out of one of the first team meetings that Vrabel had in front of the players earlier this week, where he named off some of his core rules. And one was in the meetings, no hoodies up, no cell phones in meetings or in the weight room, kind of basic stuff. Basically treating all the staff members with respect to the kitchen staff, the wait staff, all that. But just the presence and the way he commanded the room, like for how basic and elementary those rules are, like it just felt good seeing it that we got a damn adult leading us again. So that was a pause. It was a good video. I noticed that it got taken down by the Patriots eventually. I kind of think that may have been Vrabel's doing, basically saying, hey, this was supposed to be about the players. The culture we're trying to build is it's players first. Keep the what's the word I'm trying to think of? Keep the focus on the players. And it's not so much an access thing. I heard Breer say on the radio earlier in the week, but it was basically, hey, this video kind of makes it about me. Take it down. But at that point, you can't put the cookies back in the jar. People have seen it. It's out there. But that being said, it was a good image of Vrabel and the Patriots. And that, I know I kind of made fun of it at the beginning of the episode, but I take it as positive.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the word that I would use to describe Vrabel, and I've already used it on this podcast, is gravitas. The man can control a room, and that was something that certainly was missing last year from this is a tough sport. This is a man's sport in which you got to be a leader of men. And again, not taking anything away from the kind of person that Gerard Mayo is. It seems as though he's a great human being, but it just wasn't his time yet. Can't make the same argument for Vrabel. The guy is a leader among men. Antonio Gibson came out and said either today or yesterday that Vrabel just can't sit still, and he's always wanted to talk football and see how his football team is doing and checking in on these different player position meeting groups. And he's just constantly being involved. He's playing music in the hallways for players and things like this. So, it's hard not to be excited about the culture and the Vrabel mentality that he's bringing to New England. PT, any thoughts?
Is he muted?
Excuse me, my mic was muted. Nate, I love your vocabulary. Was what I was saying. First off, I always am learning new words. You got to tell me what that means. I have the words.
Gravitas.
Yes.
That is, you can command a room. Your energy just draws people's attention to you.
Okay, I like that. I think that now that I know that what it means, I think that's a great way to describe Vrabel and what he's doing with this team. And honestly, I cannot wait to see the product on the field next year. And how I think we're going to make a big jump, a really big jump. I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves here. We're still going to see how the draft ends up going. Big night for us with this, our first mock draft 1.0. But as you guys were saying, it's a culture shift. And I think the players are seeing that. I think we're obviously seeing that already. And once we get training camp going, I think we're really going to see that with Vrabel. So I'm excited to get to this mock draft.
So without further ado, let's get going with our first overall pick.
So the way we're doing this, it's right through the standard PFF website. To preface this a little bit, we've already taken into account the Joe Milton trade with the Cowboys. And before we started, we got it set up a little bit because PFF is notorious for doing so many randomizations at the beginnings. So one of our core rules was Cam Ward and Travis Hunter were 1-2 off the board because by all accounts, that's really what it's going to be. If Abdul Carter was going to fall to us, as you can see that he did for our first pick, great. If not, we would have gone with what it was, but we just wanted to make sure Ward and Hunter were 1-2 off the board to make this as realistic as possible.
Yeah, and so while the top three are probably not expected, as folks that are following on YouTube can see, pick number 3 was Will Campbell by the Giants. I don't think that that's necessarily the play for them. They could always surprise, but we do have Abdul Carter sitting there at 4. I would like to formally make the nomination for that pick, and I can't imagine you guys have too much pushback there.
Nope. The only thing I'm going to ask is, before we get to pick 38, as we're taking a defensive player here at 4, we know the 2 biggest needs going in are left tackle and wide receiver. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, as PFF does allow trades before the picks start moving pretty damn quickly, any thoughts about trading up from 38 to get back into the first round for a tackle or wide receiver?
Well, let's make our first pick first. Let's make our first pick official first.
Well, the only reason I say that now is because once it goes, those picks do move quickly. You're not waiting minutes on end like they would on a normal draft. So you got to pre-think it before we're yelling stop.
Mm-hmm.
I like your idea. Yes.
Okay.
So we're in agreement. Yes, Abdul Carter at 4.
Yes.
I am in agreement with Abdul Carter.
Okay. So a little bit about Abdul Carter for our listeners that have not heard his name yet, which if you are listening to this and you have not heard of Abdul Carter's name, you're a real one. Thank you for supporting us. But here is Abdul Carter. He is an edge from Penn State. He, at the Combine, didn't do a whole lot of exercises, but his tape speaks for itself. He is 6'3", 250 pounds, edge. He's really only played edge for 1 year. People are most commonly comping him to Micah Parsons of the Cowboys, not only because he went to Penn State and also wears number 11, but just from a production standpoint, he is an absolute menace off the edge. And I think Abdul Carter would do the cherry on top type deal of rounding out that defense and really making it elite.
And not to mention, he has a visit in New England come Monday.
I couldn't agree more with this pick right here. You got to go with him at 4. He's arguably the best talent in the draft. I'd say him and Travis Hunter there as an edge rusher. This guy is going to get to the quarterback, and that is, I think that's the most important thing on defense, is being able to sack the quarterback. So Abdul Carter, slam dunk pick at 4. I don't think anyone as a Pats fan is mad about that. And you're following the Eagles' blueprint of drafting the best available player.
It's a great call out. Yep. So Abdul Carter, welcome to the New England Patriots. We're going to hit pause there while Nick, you had mentioned a trade for our next pick.
So are we thinking wide receiver or tackle? I know it's kind of how the board falls, but
well, let's see how the board falls a little bit as we we'll get into the teens.
Okay.
Tyler Warren off the board at 8. Matthew
Nate
Golden
Sky
off at 9.
There's Tet
McMillan at 14. I did hit pause ahead of 16 just to kind of keep people up to date with some Patriot related names. Tyler Warren, as I mentioned, 8 to Carolina. Matthew Golden, 9 to the Saints. Armand Membu, the guy that they are making a lot of noise about, 10 to Chicago, which in my opinion could be a very real landing spot for him. And then Jalen Walker, everybody's darling of late, is 13 to the Dolphins.
Can I just hit on Armand really
14.
quickly, Nate? I've seen his name a ton in Patriots news lately. We're trading back a little bit and grabbing him, or even grabbing him at 4, which I think that would be a bit of a reach personally. But I've seen his name a ton, And I'm not going to pretend to like know I'm this offensive line guru who knows who the best tackles are and everything. But from all reports, he seems to be a very solid tackle. And if the Patriots were to, I wouldn't really be happy with them if they picked him there at 4. But if they did trade back, say, and grabbed him at that 10 spot or 11 spot, that's something I wouldn't mind. What do you guys think about that?
Absolutely. Like, I think I've been pretty firm on my standpoint on this show. That if Carter or Hunter are not there at 4, I'm team trade back and live with the results at that point, because I don't think there's that much dispersity between 4 and 12 in these crop of players. I think Carter and Hunter are the two that are the clear cut above all. So if you can trade back, if those two are off the board, I would do it. Taking him at 10, like you said, would not have been a bad play.
Yeah, and just to again give our listeners some context to Armand Membu, he's 6'4" offensive tackle. Did play right tackle for Mizzou this past year. He is a junior, 332 pounds. He has a 33.5-inch arm length, Nick. And then his athleticism score was off the charts. He is the number 1 rated tackle with a 94 on the athleticism score. He is the 80. He scored an 85 and is the 3rd overall ranked tackle. So obviously, like to be able to grab those players that have really, really strong traits. So before we get too far, Nick, is there a particular pick that you are eyeing here for us to trade back into the first round?
I'm looking, if we're going thinking tackle, I'm thinking you got to jump ahead of Kansas City. They lost Tooney in free agency. That's the one area where they're going to be looking to, I think, in the first round is offensive line. So if you can get anywhere between, like 25 and 28, by that point, Simmons will be gone, which I'm okay with Simmons being gone. He's coming off the ACL tear. Calvin Banks might still be there, but as we've discussed, he's a little bit on the shorter side too. Name that I would kind of look to see where you shouldn't really have to trade up in front of Kansas City, but it's better to trade up for the player that you want more than hoping and he falls to you. But kind of like a Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon, if you can get him in that 25 to 29 range.
Well, let's see how this board continues to fall.
Shedeur,
Cardinals, we know that won't happen. There's Mike Green. There's Calvin Banks at 23. We're now sitting at pick 55 with the Texans. Nick, any thoughts here?
Can try to make a trade with the Texans with Connerly still there. What would you guys be willing to give up?
Connerly and Simmons are still there, as well as Ariante Ursery, of course, that we could probably still grab.
Ursery is probably going to fall to the 2nd or 3rd round, so we could wait for him. Or I've seen a couple mock drafts out there from people that have the Patriots actually doubling up on tackles in this draft. So that's also an option too, because you can take
this team.
You can take 2 tackles, have one at right, and you move Big Mike back to right guard. So if Simmons and Connerly are still there, do you want to try to roll the dice and see if we can get down to the Ravens and trade with them?
Yeah.
What do you think the cost would be for that, though? And I should say we attempt it right now, but
yeah.
So 25. We know that 38 is going to be in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably a pick. Probably 144. What's that percentage going to be?
A 0% chance.
Keep 144. Maybe a future pick. Maybe
you need probably a third from one of the next 2 years.
Yeah, but make sure 144 is selected as well.
Only 62.
Roll the dice. Wait.
Okay. Yeah, 144 is picked now. Yeah.
Wait,
Well, I'd say
click
try it with that. Try it with the third and the
no,
second.
no, don't do it yet, because usually if it's right around 50, it could go through. So remove round 3 and do the round 4 with 144. So 38, 144, and next year's fourth. What's the percentage?
27.
Roll. You get 5 shots at it. Roll the dice.
Houston does not accept this trade. I agree with you that I think that we can continue to look for value as we continue down the board.
Yep. Try to go 2 pick.
There's Josh Simmons just off the board at 28 to the Lions. Again, I don't necessarily love how this board is shaken out, but this is what we have.
Let's see if you can get, now that Simmons is gone, I kind of feel like more desperate that you kind of lose a safety net there.
So we're looking at 29 with the Commanders in order to jump in front of the Bills and Chiefs. 38 and
next year's third, maybe.
Move up 9 spots. Well, you were willing to give 144. What do you think about 177? Or 171 from Dallas.
What's like the that percentage?
40% chance.
Try it. Take away 171 for 144.
For those listening, it was not accepted.
Yeah. And
that only improves it 2 points. You're really that desperate to move back into the first round?
Yes. You need a tackle. And I don't think Connor Lee's going to sit around waiting there for 38. And if you get back into the first round, you get the 5th-year option with them. That 5th-year option for your left tackle, the second most important spot.
38, 144, next year's 5th gives us a 64%.
Yeah, try that.
I'm comfortable with that.
And they must have declined it because.
No, because who was taken?
Gray Zabel.
Yeah,
the interior offensive lineman from North
Dakota
State.
We're already on pick 36.
Yep. And then starting the second round, Derek Harmon from Oregon, Luther Burden III from Missouri, going to New York, TJ Sanders from South Carolina, defensive interior. We have the Jaguars and Raiders ahead of us for 38. I say we roll the dice.
And I just hope Connor Lee's still there.
And he is. He is not number 1.
No, but you know who I'm voting for. I'm choosing Connor Lee.
I'd like to see what we got. I'm fine with looking at Conley, but I'd like to see what they got for receivers left. And I see one right there that I actually love a lot at the second round pick, Jaden Higgins. Yeah. And Nick, I understand your argument for a tackle, obviously, over a wide receiver, especially since we just paid Diggs. But I see Higgins as, and I know it's kind of corny, but he's a very similar build to T. Higgins. They're both 6'4", close to 220 pounds, and this is a little bit faster version of T. Higgins, running like a 4.45 40.
I understand that, but this is actually in the middle rounds a deep wide receiver market. You got guys like Jalen Royals that's going to still be there in round 3. You got Kyle Williams that's going to be there in round 3 and on.
You have Higgins' teammate too. I almost said Nerlens Noel. Jalen Noel.
Yeah. So I still think you need one of these top of the market tackles. And like you said, they still got Diggs. They got Pop. Like, yes, wide receiver is the second biggest need. I think the biggest need is that offensive line. You can't have Lowe starting at left tackle again.
And with Abdul Carter already on the team, I mean, I think I'm gonna I'm going to go with Nick here, PT. I think that Josh Connerly is the pick. He's 6'5", 311 pounds, a little bit on the lighter side for the offensive tackle position, but he has 33.5-inch arms, pretty big hands, 10.5 big inch hands. And then he is 7th overall in the athleticism score and 5th overall tackle rank. So that is a pretty nice addition there, hoping to slot that left tackle in for the future at 38.
And
hey, I'm with you guys on it. If it keeps Drake May upright and healthy, I'm for it. I just wanted to make a little argument for Higgins because I think he could be a playmaker, but I agree. Tackle is the number one need, so let's go get it.
Maybe we can trade up for Higgins. Like when's our next pick? I can't see the screen. My eyes.
I bet he'll go before that. I bet he's going to go in the next 6 picks.
So if he's still there between say 47 and 52, try to trade up.
Try to make a trade if you guys wanted to.
Yeah.
So our next pick is number 69, which Rob Gronkowski would kill us if we traded.
That's true.
Another tackle, Donovan Jackson goes. I'm going to just hit pause and keep people up to date. Donovan Jackson goes to the Bears, so they go tackle. And then Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss, goes to the Jets. A couple of call-outs that I want to make there.
And Higgins is still on the board?
Higgins is still on the board. Scatabo to and then Estrepo.
Try to make the trade if Higgins is still there.
So we are currently sitting at pick 59 with the Ravens. Cam Scatabo goes to Denver. He is the running back out of Arizona State. And then Xavier Restrepo, the slot receiver at 53 to to Tampa. He went to Miami. So he stays in Florida. And then the running back Travion Henderson out of Ohio State at 58 to the Texans. So we're currently looking at pick 59. We're going to see if we can't swing a trade really quick. Nick's been really willing to offer up 171 and 144. So if we pick 69 and 171 for 59, it gives us a 48% chance. What do you guys think?
Let's try it.
I'd be fine with that.
They declined. We need to improve these offers, boys. We swap 171 for 144. It gives us a 67% chance.
If you take away before you do it, try to see if you can throw in like a fourth in a future year instead of 144, because then you're going to be like 70 spots in between picks.
Next year's fourth gives us a 71% chance.
You guys willing to do that?
I'd be fine with it. Not accepted. No, I wouldn't give him anything else then.
I might throw in a 6. If Higgins is still there, I would throw in a 6.
What do you guys think about just adding pick 238 to the same package? So 69, 238 in this year's draft.
Yeah, see what that boost the percentage.
Goes from 71 to 78%.
Let's see.
Okay, so that was accepted. We're now picking at pick 59. We have Jaden Higgins still on the board. There are a couple of other names. Demetrius Knight, junior linebacker. Jalen Royals, that was just talked about. Jack Sawyer, edge rusher from Ohio State. I think we can probably pass on that since we got Abdul. Kyle Williams from Washington State is a name that the boys on Catch 22, Evan Lazar and Alex Barth like a lot. And then Ariante Ursary, that has been in a lot of Patriots mocks right around this time of the third. But we got Josh Connerly in the last round. So to me, Jaden Higgins makes the most sense. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that's the one that PT wanted early on. Make PT happy, make me happy with my pick in the second round. I think that's a goddamn good compromise.
I completely agree.
Now, I'm going to throw to Drake May.
Whether or not it's realistic, I don't know, but we don't make the rules. We're just playing along with them. So for those that don't know, Jaden Higgins, he is a wide receiver out of Iowa State. He is from South Miami, Florida, and he is a senior at Iowa State, 6'4", 214 pounds. Let's see. He ran a 4.47 40-yard dash. He has a 39-inch vertical and a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. He is a athletic guy. The one knock that I hear on Jaden Higgins is that he does not play to a 4.47. He's a little bit slower speed, but he's got really, really sure hands.
When was the last time the Patriots had a true burner anyway? So, like, it fits into McDaniel's play style. That worked. Yeah, you had Tyreek Thornton. Let's preempt it by saying that worked.
Probably Brandon Cooks, but
ooh, good call.
Brandon Cooks was such a good one. So we are now sitting at pick 77. We have some familiar names that I just talked about: Jalen Royals, Kyle Williams, Trey Harris that everybody loves for the wide receiver. We have Jalen Noel still for the wide receiver. What do you guys think here?
Nate, I think you throw out a name. Me and Nick just threw out the last. You know what? Who's your gut telling you right here?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about RJ Harvey to be a little bit of thunder and lightning with Ramondre Stevenson coming out of the backfield. RJ Harvey is a guy that Evan Lazar absolutely loves and actually made one of his my guys of this draft. And so I think that's probably the name that I'm going to give you.
Which I was looking, running back was one of the positions of need coming into this. I don't know much about RJ Harvey, to be honest with you. Could you expand if he's more of a pass catching running back or if he's more of a power back?
So he's definitely on the faster side. From what he's only 5'8", but he's 205 pounds. He's from Florida, so went to UCF. He ran a flat 4.40, a 1.57, 10-yard split, 38-yard vertical jump. Yeah, 38-inch vertical jump. And his 20-yard shuttle was 4.34, 16 reps on the bench at the combine. In 2024, he was the third team AP All-American, first team All Big 12. He set a school record with 48 touchdowns at UCF. He tied for fourth in FBS with 22 rushing touchdowns and sixth with 1,577 yards rushing. So he is a little bit of do-it-all. He scored 48 touchdowns and 22 of which were rushing.
So you said 44 touchdowns?
48.
40. So less than half were rushing. So yeah, he's a pass catching back. Sign me up.
I'm not against it at all. I wanted to draft a running back at some point to have to pair with Ramondre. I think he'd be a great fit. The only other one I saw that I liked, and I'm completely fine with RJ Harvey, would be Jaden Blue, and that's a pick you'd do a little bit later on. He's definitely a pass catching threat, but I'm completely fine with picking RJ Harvey here and staying here at number 77.
I think that is what we shall do. And so before we move on to our next pick, just to kind of give people an idea, at 104, we picked Abdul Carter, edge, address the defense and really put the finishing touch on that. Since then, we have been all offensively focused with Josh Connerly, Jaden Higgins, and RJ Harvey, tackle, wide receiver, and running back respectively. So if you think back to our episode with Gillette Nation, he had mentioned sign the defense and draft the offense. I think that's kind of the way that this board is falling for us, and certainly the things that we've taken advantage of. What do you guys think?
I agree. I might make for a boring episode of us all agreeing, but I'm loving how the board's shaking out for us. We got in the first 60 picks, we got, I would argue, the best player in the draft, if not the best defensive player in the draft, in Abdul Carter. You get your biggest need in left tackle. It somehow fell to us in the second round. I was dumb enough saying to trade up, be aggressive, be bold, but then traded up to get Higgins. I'd seem to be falling. So we got our two biggest needs plus the best player in the draft in our first 3 picks, and then we just picked up as you described, a stud of a dual threat running back. Like, I'm loving how this is shaking out.
I think am too.
Go ahead, Nate.
Go ahead, PT. No, you go.
I was going to say, as you guys said, we're all agreeing here, and I just want to point out, I think if Fink was here, we might still be on that first pick, because I think he'd want to trade up for Travis Hunter or have an argument for Travis Hunter falling. I'm just going to be honest. Love you, Fink, but I think it might be a little bit slower drafted you here, man.
Yeah, there's no way Cleveland passes up on him, I don't think. Well, I take that back, because Cleveland is Cleveland. Like, they can find a way to fuck up a wet dream. So,
hold on, let me put on my Fink face. Nick, that's not true. We're trading up. I'm going to hold them accountable.
So those keeping track at home, we have our next couple of picks are our 4th rounder, 106 overall, 5th rounder, 144 overall. And we have a little bit of a run of 171 and 174 to finish out the 5th round. Any specific positions of need that you guys are eyeing here?
No, I think you go almost best player available at this point. Like, or if you see a guy absolutely falling and we know he should be up higher, you got to take the value at that point. I think we hit our 2 biggest areas of need.
So to give people an update, as we just have the picks coming off the board, since we last picked at 77, we did have, let's see, Trey Harris come off the board, wide receiver from Ole Miss to Denver. We had Jalen Noel that we just talked about go to Jacksonville. We had Jalen Royals go to the Browns. We had Xavion Williams go to the Vikings, and then Wyatt Millum from West Virginia tackle go to the 49ers. Again, that if we had not addressed tackle with Josh Connerly, that would have been something that we would have certainly kept an eye on. Resuming the draft here. Isaiah Bond go 102. We'll see if that ends up happening after the news came out today of him being arrested or giving himself up or something like that.
Yeah. It was, what was it, sexual assault or domestic abuse? One of the two.
Sexual assault, yep.
Yeah.
Looking at the names available, we still have Kyle Williams from Washington State on the board. We have Deion Walker, defensive interior lineman from Kentucky. We have, let's see, Jaden Blue that you just mentioned. Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon. Trevor Etienne, which we just picked up a running back. Any particular names speaking to you, gentlemen?
I mean, I'm kind of surprised Kyle Williams is still there, but going 2 wide receivers that quickly for us, like, I don't hate it. But what do you guys think?
The name that's just sticking out to me, and it's only because if you guys recall our Los Talks Pats episode, is Deion Walker. That's a guy he mentioned of someone that he'd want to pick if he was able to, if he was there in the later rounds like this. Obviously, it's another D lineman, not really a position of need for this team right now. But if you're doing best available talent, it might not be a bad pick. But I mean, it just depends really where you want to go here.
That is a very great shout out. I don't mind paying tribute to Los Talks Pats.
Yeah, and I was actually looking at the same thing, PT, so I'm glad you picked up on Deion first for that exact reason of shouting out Los Talks Pats. But we also think about defensive line as if Christian Barmore is ready to go, and I don't think that that's something that we can necessarily count on right now. Certainly it would be huge if he was, but being able to fill this need with a productive rookie, with a guy that makes next to no money, and certainly one that, you know, could build value even if Barmore is healthy, be able to build value and maybe be a rotational player. So I think that's the pick there, Deion Walker.
I'm for it.
I vote for it.
So those who are curious on Deion Walker, he is from Kentucky. He is a defensive tackle. He is 6'7", 331 pounds. He ranks 37th overall on the athleticism score and 13th among defensive tackles in this year's combine. He has a 25-inch vertical jump and 8'8" broad jump for a 6'7", 330-pound man. That is quite impressive. He was third team all SEC. He had 37 tackles. 5 of those tackles were for losses, 1.5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups. And he started 11 games for Kentucky Wildcats this year. Welcome to the New England Patriots, Deion Walker. Next pick's not till 144, you guys. So again, we just had RJ Harvey and then Deion Walker come off the board for the New England Patriots. Still says running back, wide receiver, and offensive line are needs for the Patriots. I think that running back's probably good. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I agree.
Just doing these drafts before, those don't change throughout your draft. So those were our biggest needs going in.
Which I don't necessarily know if I agree with that either, given the current state of the team. Okay, this is just getting a little bit ridiculous. We just fell to 144. Kyle Williams, wide receiver, is still here.
Are we missing something with him? Did he just do something off the field in the simulation?
I mean,
this is crazy.
You can't pass it up now, right? Like we're not going to be too cute with this. Like we take.
I was going to say, yeah, can't really make things. You got to make things easy. You got to take the best available. His ADP is, which is average draft position for those keeping track at home, is 116. His rank in this year's draft is 64, and we're currently sitting at 144. This is not necessarily a pick that I would expect to happen, but certainly in this simulation, we likely have got to take that pick.
Yeah, we run up to the stage with that fucking card and don't look back.
So Kyle Williams, wide receiver from Washington State. He is from Inglewood, California. He was a senior at Washington State this year. He is 5'11", 190 pounds. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, 36.5-inch vertical jump, 9-foot, 11-inch broad jump. He ranked 4th in FBS and 14 receiving touchdowns. He was very effective. He was 2 yards shy of 1,200 on the season, so 1,198. And then he led the team with 70 receptions and started all 13 games. Clearly, this is a guy that a quarterback can rely on and gets open. So add him to the wide receiver room. Thank you very much.
Goodbye, Javon Baker and Jalen Polk.
Jalen Polk, we'll see if there's a shift in mindset there with a new leadership, but that's a guy that has a lot to earn and learn in this year's camp. He's going to have to earn his spot for sure. All right, pick 171 on the boards. A position that I think that might be pretty attractive as we're here in the 5th round. No, never mind. We've got a little bit of time. I was going to suggest something a little bit crazy, but we'll wait for that.
I'd like to hear it anyways, Nate. What are you going to suggest?
Yeah, so I mean, there's only one kicker on the team currently.
Let's go, my man.
Kickers in this draft, so I don't think it's outlandish to think that they could be looking here in the middle rounds to a kicker.
I mean, we only have 2 picks left, right?
171, 174.
Think we can trade back to pick up another one to maybe snag a kicker in the 7th round?
There's no trades available for 171 right now. Nobody's offering one, at least.
Okay, so let's stick and make a pick and see what happens at 174.
There are a couple of names here that are certainly speaking to me. I don't know about you too, but one that I like particularly, Malachi Moore out of Alabama. He is a safety, by the way. Any particular names otherwise sticking out to you guys?
I mean, would it be a Patriots draft if they didn't take a defensive back from Rutgers? Saw our boy right there.
Robert Longerbeam.
Cornerback, Rutgers. We know how much New England loves the Rutgers boys. McCourty, both McCourty twins. I believe, was it Patrick Chung who was also with them?
Yep.
You want to continue the tradition? We've only picked, 2 defensive guys so far? We've pretty much the only other thing I could think of is if we do double up and on the defensive line and take it maybe an interior guy like a guard or a center.
So, Nick, you want to go with Longerbeam. Nate, would you rather go with Malachi Moore, or would you rather go with Longerbeam?
So I think that Nick actually just brought up a good point. I'm actually looking at Seth McLaughlin here, center from Ohio State as well, because thinking at the center depth of this team, obviously they signed Garrett Bradbury. They had Cole Strange moving into that spot. They had Ben Brown play a decent amount there last year, but I'm not necessarily sure that that's a position of particular depth or strength. And so what do you guys think about Seth McLaughlin as well?
Don't hate it.
I don't hate either of those picks.
Yeah. During the middle round, as long as you get a good guy, I don't care what position. At this point, our needs have been met.
We could potentially get both as well, seeing we have a pick right after this.
True.
So those wondering at home, Seth McLaughlin, as that is going to be our pick here. He is a 6'4" senior from Ohio State. He's a native of Georgia, 304 pounds, 31-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. He ranks 3rd among centers in this combine score for total score of 73. In 2024, he won the Remington Trophy as the nation's top center. He was a second-team AP All-American, first-team All-Big Ten Conference. He started 10 games for the national championships, missed the final 6 games with a torn Achilles, suffered in practice. Does that change y'all's mind here in the 5th round?
Yes and no. I still lean him simply because with Mike Vrabel's time at Ohio State, if he's still on the board there and they do somehow take him, I'm going to roll the dice that Mike Vrabel still has good contacts at Ohio State and he's going to trust the intel.
PT?
I'm for it. It's a 5th round pick. These picks come with baggage as is, and I think if the talent's there, might as well go and grab it.
I agree with you. And prior to his year at Ohio State this past year, he started at least 10 games for Alabama each of the last 3 seasons. And so this is a guy that has plenty of big games under his belt, and certainly one that likely will be motivated to fight for a spot. And quite frankly, I think that the Achilles injury is probably why he's still available here. So I don't mind, given that we just signed Bradbury, to allow McLaughlin to kind of slide into that role maybe next year. Because in the 5th round, I don't necessarily think that there's somebody that we're relying on to start big minutes coming out the gate. So it can be a little bit more of a draft and develop type player. So sitting here at 174, we do have one trade. Let's see.
Who's it? I'm trying to read your screen and it's blurry for me. So we
have one trade available.
You can make it bigger, by the way. There's a full screen.
I'm a dumbass. Okay, so moving back 7 spots, maybe.
Yep. So it would be 174 for 181.
Can you swindle 199 away from them?
Let's see what it will not be accepted. Let's see if we can't get 214. No, maybe not. 255 has a 98% chance of being accepted.
Can you swindle future assets like some 2026 picks? Like, let's be greedy. See if you
181 and a sixth is no.
What about seventh? I have a hard time. Wait, where's 255? Let's try it.
So for those listening at home, I'm offering 174 from the Patriots to the Chargers for 181, 255, and around 7 in 2026. It was not accepted. If we remove the seventh from next year, we have a very, very good chance, and we pick up 2 more picks in this draft by trading 1 away. So +1 in the pick department.
Let's do it.
PT on board?
I'm all for it.
All right. So that was successful. We're resuming draft. We now have picks 181 and 255 to round out our draft. All right.
Yeah. Longer beam's still there.
Longer beam is still there. I think that might be a good play. Malachi Moore is still there as well. No real names that I am particularly fond of this far in the draft. So it looks like we're making a little bit of a decision. I'm gonna nominate Malachi Moore there. And Nick, I know you are Robert Longerbeam. So we have a corner versus a safety, one from Rutgers, one from Alabama. PT, what are you thinking here?
I want to hear the number 1 point from each of you of why you think it should be one over the other, and then I'll make my pick.
Honestly, in terms of a technical on-field standpoint, I can't really give you one. I'm just going by past Patriot, and I know it's a new regime, but we've had good luck with Rutgers defensive backs. Thinking back to like the Cyrus Joneses of the times, we've not had so much good luck with in the backfield of Alabama. So just playing off the history, I think a late round Rutgers pickup is more in the Patriots wheelhouse.
Yeah, for me, Malachi Moore is, he's a safety. So not necessarily, and again, safety is not necessarily a major need on this team. With Kyle Duggar, likely he's slimmed out, likely moving back to that strong side safety a little bit more often in Vrabel's defense. So it's again kind of a draft and develop type player, give additional depth. He's 5'11", 196 pounds. He's a senior at Alabama. He's from Alabama. He's currently ranked the 11th safety in this draft from Combine Score. However, he was 6th in overall production score. So clearly a less toolsy, more productive prospect. He started 12 games. He had 70 tackles. He was second team All-American, first team All-SEC. He had 8 pass breakups this year. So he's a ball hawk. And he was a team captain. So that's my vouch for Malachi Moore here at 181 in the 6th round.
He made more of a pitch.
He did make more of a pitch. I saw Malachi Moore play a lot more, obviously, just because he went to Alabama versus Rutgers. I know I've seen him play a little bit more, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When you get to these later rounds, you gotta kind of have fun with these picks, and I'm going with the more fun name. Longer Beam sounds way cooler than Malachi Moore, so we're going with that guy.
All right. So Robert Longerbeam, welcome to the New England Patriots. And while we are waiting for pick 255 to come up, I will get you Robert Longerbeam's information. He's an older prospect at 24 years old. He is a senior at Rutgers from Alexandria, Virginia. He is 5'11", 175. He is 28th on the production score that I was just talking about for Malachi, and 29th on total cornerback rankings for Combine Score. 4.39 40-yard dash, 36.5 in vertical. He was the honorable mention All Big Ten. He led with 11 pass breakups, led the team. He had 2 interceptions, played 12 games and started 11 of them, and he was also a team captain.
So we still get that leadership role too.
Still get that leadership role. We have 18 picks left until our 2:55 to wrap this mock draft up, as we were coming up on the hour mark. So don't hate that for our listeners. Hopefully this has been a good amount of information. This is probably the most analytical podcast that we've done perhaps ever. You know exactly where I'm going. I'm immediately going to
Kickers.
Oh, he's
And I
still
don't know
there.
a single one.
Oh, I know who's there. This is the guy I wanted to pick at 4, so we're getting him a great value at round 7 here. Ryan Fitzgerald, the greatest kicker of all time. That's my pick for kicker. If you guys have anyone else you want to go with, but I'm a big Ryan Fitzgerald guy.
You know what? When
Nick?
it comes to kickers, as long as it's not Chad Ryland, I'm okay.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State. He was a senior. He's from Georgia, 5'11", 193. Not that really matters for a kicker. He was third-team AP All-American. He tied for the FBS lead, making 100% of his field goal attempts. He was 13 for 13, and he was 5 for 5 from 50 yards and back. And he had a long this season of 59. He played in all 12 games. He was 14 for 14 on extra points, 53 total points, 34 touchbacks, and 42 kickoffs. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
But the only thing I know is out of those 5 kickers I see on the board, only one of them played in a cold weather environment in Ben Sauls, which I have no idea who that is, but Ryan Fitzgerald's stats look so damn good. But you got to take cold weather into the account too.
No, that's a fair point.
Ben Sauls is actually Evan Lazar's pick for place kicker for this team. And he so kindly uses the Better Call Sauls tagline. So to kind of give you guys the Ben Sauls update, I'll just give you the same information for him. He went to Pitt. Obviously, he is a left-footed kicker. He was a senior, 5'10", 182. Let's see. He was third team All ACC, tied for 9th in the FBS with 21 made field goals, 24 attempts. So he did miss 3, 87.5%. He was 6 of 7 from 50 yards, along with 58. He did have 1 blocked. He played in all 13 games. He was 44 for 44, 100% on extra points. He had 61 touchbacks on 80 kickoffs. He made a 35 game-winning field goal against Cincinnati with 17 seconds remaining. He set a single-season school record with 6 made field goals of 50 yards or more. Now, Jeremy Springer did in his presser this week, he did mention, cold weather kickers is certainly something that you want to pay attention to at this point in the draft, but it's not necessarily the breaker or deal breaker for any sense of the word. However, they look at a lot of advanced analytics that, quite frankly, we just don't have access to for the Boston Banner Blueprint. And things that they're looking at is ball rotational and max ball height and kicking power and things like that. So, you guys have a preference between Fitzgerald and Ben Sauls?
Not really. I just threw it out there to give us a little bit more of a talking point before we went right ahead to it. I know as the moment you said left-footed kicker, I know it's a bias, but outside of Seabass when we were growing up, I don't think in the last 2 decades we've seen a consistent great left-footed kicker. And if I'm missing an obvious one, I do apologize. Outside of obviously Seabass, but I'm leaning Fitzgerald.
I already know you are, PT.
Yeah. I will say, though, the Better Call Saul thing would be cool.
It would be. As a Breaking Bad fan, it would be.
I already used my name pick with longer beam, so I'm sticking with Ryan Fitzgerald.
Can't argue with 100%. So welcome to the New England Patriots. Ryan Fitzgerald, you are going to be making picks for us for years to come. It is currently grading our draft. To give you all a overview, since it's been a minute, we had Abdul Carter fall to us at 4. We selected him with the 4th overall pick. We then traded back. We kept our 38th overall pick with Josh Connerly, tackle out of Oregon. We then traded 59 for 69, 238, and a round 4 in 2026 with the Ravens. We selected Jaden Higgins, 59th overall in the 2nd round. We then moved into the 3rd at 77 overall, RJ Harvey, running back out of UCF. We then addressed the defensive line, Deion Walker, interior defensive lineman at 106. Wide receiver Kyle Williams out of Washington State at 144. Center from Ohio State, Seth McLaughlin at 171. We then traded pick 174. That's the pick that we traded for Joe Milton. That we received for Joe Milton. Sorry. And 220. We then got Robert Longerbeam with that pick that we traded 174 for 181 and 255 with the Chargers. That's the pick that I was getting confused on. My fault. And then we just rounded out with 255 in the 7th round, Ryan Fitzgerald, place kicker out of Florida State. Overall draft grade from PFF is an A. Well done, boys. We're going to post this in our online on all of our socials to give you all a glimpse and give us a grade of what you all think, how we did. Give us your feedback. Boys, let me hear your feedback first. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
My feedback is, sorry, Tony, I know it's final season, but is your report card going to look that good?
Absolutely not.
I mean, if that's the grade, if that's the grades that Elliot Wolf and Mike Vrabel get for their picks in a couple weeks, as fans, I don't think we can hate it. Like, I think we killed this thing.
I agree.
Couldn't agree more. Any closing thoughts before we wrap episode 21?
Give me a fat guy and get me a wide receiver and call it good. And don't give me a fat guy with short arms, preferably.
Yeah, I mean, based on our draft, I think if any Pats fan didn't watch the draft and they woke up the next morning, or actually, I shouldn't say that, it's a few days, but they woke up after the draft, somehow they slept through it, they were hibernating like a bear, and they saw this draft, I think they'd be very happy with it, and I'd be very happy with it. Only pick that I think was a little bit unrealistic in there was the Williams one falling to us, but other than that, I think this was a pretty realistic draft, and I'd be very happy if it ended up this way. How about you, Nate?
Yeah, I would be ecstatic with this draft. We addressed a lot of major needs, like we talked about. We reinforced the defense and made that an absolute unit with Abdul Carter. We got our sack specialist. We got the guy that's going to go after the quarterback and just wreak havoc. We were able to get some weapons for Drake. We were able to add to the running back room and get another weapon back there. So just made the team deeper, which I guess is really what the draft is all about. And obviously we got quite a bit younger as well. So can't hate that. So just to give everybody a blueprint of what is to come for the blueprint, we are going to be doing these mock drafts every Thursday leading up to draft night. And then, of course, we're going live on draft night round 1. You can get our instant reactions to what the Patriots do at 4, maybe a trade's in the works. Who knows? But we will then continue to rotate our early week episodes as we normally do up until then. But without further ado, for Nick, for Tony, I am Nate. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow us on all of our socials at Boston Banner BP on X, Boston Banner Blueprint on both Facebook and Instagram, and then boston.banner.blue, BLU, on TikTok. Like, subscribe, follow, write 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Boys, this was a fun one. I enjoyed this. Can't wait to get the reactions from our listeners. So have a great night, y'all. Peace.